Another Florida commit.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jackson Holzer, and this is Locked On Syracuse. And thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Of course, we're always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, every time Syracuse football gets a big-time commit, particularly from the state of Florida, you know who we have to bring on. Locked On recruiting expert and the host of the Portal Podcast, Brian Smith. Now, who is the recruit that we're going to talk about here on this mini podcast from the state of Florida? Well, it's none other than edge rusher Kamron Wilson, a top 600 player overall in the country. Brian, thank you so much for joining us here. How do you believe Kamron Wilson profiles at the next level?
Pure pass rusher. I've seen him multiple times. This is a kid out of Miami Southridge that Florida State wanted, UCF, and several other programs, but Miami and Florida, and I'll come back to this, didn't really pursue, and I think it's a major fault of theirs. I actually podcasted about him earlier today, and I also believe that this is a kid that's just starting to scratch the surface. Like just in the last 6 months, the jump that Kamron has taken from his junior season film, I've seen him twice this spring. He's added more moves. He's more consistent. He sets up one play to the next, confusing offensive linemen. I saw him beat Brett Collegier, a kid that's covered by every school in the country, Ohio State and Michigan and North Carolina and Miami, et cetera. Beat him twice in a row a couple of weeks ago in one-on-ones. He is a really talented kid. He's 6'4", 210, so he's got to add weight. But at the same point in time, I mean, there are a lot of guys that weighed. Justin Tuck was like 215 out of high school. The Freak was 215. So the weight you can add, but it's his work ethic, his ability to take coaching and just continuously getting better with his frame. Like he's really long. This is the kind of kid that Florida State I grew up with them taking redshirting. Then a year later, you're like, who's that guy? Well, they just beat Florida State for him, talking about Syracuse. So that's a great pickup, man. I think he's underrated, and he's a kid that his upside's as good as it can be because, again, he's not even scratching the surface yet.
How much do coaches pay attention to recruiting rankings? Because I have a follow-up to this after this.
It depends on the coach. Some like it, some don't, but I know all of them follow it in some capacity because they're all worried about controlling the narrative, which they can't do. And that's one of the reasons coaches are so paranoid of spring practice and stuff. But I get messages from people on staffs, rank my guys higher, like open-endedly. Like it matters. But they just won't admit anything publicly as a general rule. So the only time they talk positively about it is when their class is top 5. Then all of a sudden the rankings matter. It's amazing. It's just like politicians.
Yeah. I understand it with Syracuse basketball. You know, they have a top 10 high school recruiting class, so everything's all peachy and good, right? You know, but the recruiting rankings don't matter when they have the 35th ranked recruiting class in the country. Trust me, we understand it here. At Syracuse. The reason why I asked that question, though, is because do you think that's why maybe Miami and Florida didn't pursue Kamron Wilson harder?
I don't know what it is because Southridge High School is just right down the road from the University of Miami. It's less than a half hour. I have no idea. Now, they're Miami, to their credit, they're pretty loaded at DN. They could be picky, but they didn't even slow play him, to my knowledge, meaning like stay in contact, we might offer later. So that's a bit surprising. UF has always been, no matter the coach, I don't know why this is, outside of Urban Meyer, been very lukewarm on recruiting Dade County, which makes no sense. But, yeah, I to each their own. But at the same time, they didn't offer and go after him too. Florida State absolutely did. That's the one out of the big three. And then UCF, it's an upcoming program. They've been after him too. But, it's still UCF. I get it. But if you're the Florida programs, these are the kind of players that these programs were built. Like Miami signed so many guys that were like kind of long, lanky linebackers. We're not sure what we're going to do with him. They end up playing DN and getting 5-10 sacks as a sophomore. This kid fits the profile there too. UF, same thing. I'm just really surprised because he has the traits that you look for in length for a 7 technique, a guy that plays that wide outside. You know what he's going to do. Can your offensive tackle get to him in time with his kick step? And they didn't go after him. So I just don't really understand it. But another quick point here, Fran Brown and his staff deserve credit because they've not cared about the recruiting ranking because he's a 3-star. I think he's full better than that, but whatever. They've went after the guys they evaluated, put effort into it, and Fran FaceTimes Kamron at the same time every day at 3 Eastern. He has, the Southridge coach told me that a few weeks ago, because he always gets mad about it because Fran's on the phone with him and it's in the middle of their lifting session. But that's another story. The point is still the same. They're very consistent, and that's why they're winning. Some teams don't put in the same effort, especially early, the way the Syracuse staff does, and hats off to everybody at Syracuse for doing it.
It's obviously early in the 2026 recruiting cycle. We still got a long way to go until signing day. How do you see Kamron Wilson's recruitment unfolding going forward? Do you think he's locked into Syracuse, or do you think if, hey, he has a big senior season, all of a sudden, he jumps to a 4-star, these other schools might start going after him more?
I haven't spoken to him since he committed, but my guess is it would just depend on the circumstance. As long as the Cuse stays on him, and I have no reason to believe they wouldn't. Why wouldn't you, put all this effort in to back off? It'd be kind of unlikely. I'm not saying he wouldn't take a visit somewhere just to be sure. But outside of that, I kind of think this is where he wants to go because he had other P4 offers. He could have went to Florida State. He could have stayed. They went after him. He just chose Syracuse. So Miami would be the one I'd be curious about. Again, they're right down the street. So outside of that, maybe a ridiculous NIL offer is possible, but he's not a surefire, right out of the gate guy. So I doubt he's going to get that $1.2 million offer or something. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to need a year to add weight. So I don't think he's going to get that. Chance of him signing with Syracuse is pretty good.
I wonder if Kamron Wilson growing up, obviously he's been probably a hot shot prospect player for a long time, as is most of these high school players entering college. I wonder if he ever thought he was ever going to go to Syracuse. I wonder if that was ever on his radar as a kid from South Florida with all the big Florida schools there. He was just yeah, I'm going to go to Syracuse when he was 14 years old.
Obviously the answer to that is no. And I would go further and just say, no lie here. Most kids in Florida, no matter their background, there's a really good chance they don't even know what state Syracuse is in.
I don't blame him.
It's upstate New York. They have no idea. If it's not in Florida, they probably don't know much about it. So they live in bubbles because there's every kind of access in the world where he's at. He's 15 minutes from the beach, 4 malls and a major university. They don't know what's going on. So it's wild. And it's one of the reasons the recruiting in South Florida is so random. You can have a kid go to Oregon, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Texas, Miami. You just don't know. It really is intriguing.
March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories. Well, there weren't many Cinderellas this year. All 4 1 seeds in the Final Four for the first time since 2008, and even who's cutting down the nets. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Yeah, you bring up Oregon for a reason. Doesn't relate to Syracuse, but the Dallas Wilson recruitment was one that was really interesting. That he commits to Oregon, looks like he's going to flip on signing day, doesn't flip on signing day. Then all of a sudden after signing day, he does flip, which makes you think, what's the point of signing day if you're not actually signing with the school? Makes no sense. But yeah, that's an example of a kid from Florida going to Oregon. And then you know what? He decides to go to the University of Florida at the end of the day. Syracuse does have another elite pass rusher from the state of Florida, one of another 5 Florida commits for the Orange, and that is Jarius Rodgers. How do you see a guy like Kamron Wilson and Jarius Rodgers fitting together with Syracuse?
This is the question that I have too, because I think they're both weak side ends. Maybe one of them develops into a strong side, but in today's packages like the 4-2-5, let's just use that as an example, 3rd and 7, who cares if a guy's 260 and can play the run? Who cares? If they're both 235 and a couple of years they'll add some weight, go get them. You're going to have pass rushers. and they're always at a premium, Jackson. You must have pass rushers. Rodgers is a great kid too. He's working his craft. I think both of them are very similar in that they have upside. They still have technical things to work on, and they got to get bigger, but you can't teach the length. And they know what they are. They're not trying to hide and play another position like linebacker. No, I'm going to play linebacker. No. They know their path. They're already working on it. So one of them will play on the strong side on certain downs. One will play on the weak side. They'll figure that out later. But you got two bona fide pass rushers already in your class from Florida. When has Syracuse ever done that?
Two pass rushers from Florida, a premium position. I'm going to go on the record and guess probably it's been a very long time.
That's the conservative answer. It's probably
a very long time is very subjective. Could be 20 years, could be 50 years, could be 1,000 years. I don't know. It's a very long time. I mean, it's amazing what Fran Brown is doing with those kids in the state of Florida, actually getting them to commit to Syracuse. 5 Florida commits already. How many do you think they're going to end up with at the end of the day?
Well, I predicted on your show they would end with 7 or more a month ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's still on pace. I mean, they're as the OVs begin and you get ramped up in May and then go into early June, you'll see some more kids from the Baltimore area, like more traditional Syracuse areas, and it'll close in. But they probably end up with somebody else from Florida too. They'll at least get to that 7 mark is my guess. If they hit 10, it wouldn't be shocking. The real question is how many kids do they want to take in the high school class and balance it with the portal? Like it changes year to year for every school based on who's turning pro. So Fran can't even answer you like how many kids they're going to take right now in high school because he doesn't know what his roster is going to look like in 8 months. So that's the hard part. But if they take 20 kids, the chances of them not getting to at least 7 out of the Sunshine State seems pretty low to me. That's an incredible accomplishment. And then again, he's from Jersey. He's going to get a New York kid or two, a Delaware kid, Philadelphia kid. They'll have a pretty good class. If they can do similar results out of the portal, Syracuse football is going to start being a pain in the butt for all the teams in the ACC. So it's not going to be just like a 1 or 2 year thing. He's going to have something rolling and he'll have more reason to stay at Syracuse instead of leaving and going somewhere else. It's a great story.
It's interesting that you bring up balancing high school recruiting in the transfer portal. I thought Syracuse in Fran Brown's first year, especially when you get Kyle McCord, they didn't necessarily, I wouldn't say they went all in the transfer portal, but it was definitely a balance between high school recruiting and the transfer portal. You get Kyle McCord, you're also taking over as a first-time head coach. You want to be good right away. So it was very balanced. This 2025 cycle, complete opposite. They went crazy with high school recruiting. They led the nation in high school commits. But when you look at their portal class, I mean, they didn't take a lot of guys. They took like 7 or 8. They might add 1 or 2 more in the spring portal. So I'm very curious also to see what they do in 2026. One more prospect here I want to talk about, and that is an offensive lineman from Florida, Tampa specifically, Johnny Jones. The reason why I want to ask about him is because Syracuse got a visit with him over the weekend. What's his recruitment like?
It's pretty wild. Speaking of national, he's got Penn State, UCLA, Florida State, Ole Miss, and Miami lined up for visits already. And those are officials. So Syracuse has been recruiting him for a while. Do they get added to the OV list? He's got from UCLA to Syracuse to Miami. This is as national as it gets. So offensive tackles, another premium position, 6'7" kid, 300 pounds, plays at Berkeley Prep. It's a very well-known program in the state of Florida. They won a state title a couple of years ago. I mean, we'll see if they can get an OV, but that is a tough list to break into. Know what to think, because that is an absolutely unusual list as well. I mean, it's the full gamut, but nothing has shocked me really here lately about Fran Brown's program, so why not another one? I didn't think they were going to get Kamron Wilson either. And they just did.
Well, Brian, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just think that Syracuse recruiting is the absolute pain in the butt for the rest of the programs in the state of Florida right now. And if some of these staffs don't start doing better, there are going to be some guys getting some hard questions behind the scenes and publicly, because there's no way Syracuse should be doing this. It's hilarious in a way.
It's comical.
It really is, because these aren't just like random guys either. Like the 2 DNs we talked about, this is an example. They had offers from a lot of, Rodgers had a Notre Dame offer, a Florida State offer, he had a bunch. And the Cuse is not only getting them, They're doing it before they even take an official visit. It's unprecedented. So people that are discounting Syracuse, which I was one at one point, I mean, it's time to kind of look at it from a different perspective because they've earned it. Syracuse football is on the rise, and maybe it's a football school now, Jackson. Maybe
it's definitely a football school now. Until proven otherwise, it's a football school. We'll see what Syracuse basketball does in the transfer portal. Maybe they could shock me and have a really good transfer portal class. I hope so. But until proven otherwise, Syracuse football goes 10-3. Syracuse basketball has its worst season since before man landed on the moon. And we're a football school now. And it's kind of funny that Syracuse football, they're the team in Florida that's just knocking on the door with everyone's recruits. Like, it's one thing if you're Billy Napier or Mario Cristobal or Mike Norvell, and it's like, here comes Kirby Smart with Georgia. They want this kid too, or it's Alabama. What are we going to do? But Syracuse, I mean, come on. If you're like a large donor of those teams, how do you not sit there and say, like, what are you doing, man? What's going on?
Those are phone calls that I'm telling you, they're going to take place. It's going to happen. Look, again, credit to them. I've had John Garcia Jr. on from Rivals, a national recruiting analyst. He's even talked about it like they put in the effort. They're trying to get these kids early. They offer early, and it matters, and they just stick with them. So, again, give props to the staff at Syracuse, everybody, the back office and all that. They do their due diligence, and it's working.
Thank you so much, Brian, for taking the time to hop on the podcast. Brian, where can people find you on social media?
Absolutely. At @LO_the portal. And you can find me also at FBScout_Florida. All the podcasts and everything that we do, same place you find Locked On Syracuse, Odyssey, Spotify, Apple. It's YouTube. We are more than happy to have you in talking recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal every single day.
And also, Brian is the host of Locked On Seminoles. So
That's
if you're
right.
a Florida State Seminoles fan or want to know what's going on with them, Brian Smith is your guy. Brian, thank you so much, and hope to talk to you soon about perhaps Calvin Russell committing to Syracuse. Wouldn't that be something if that happened over the summer? Probably would not. But you know what? That'd be great.
Anything's possible, man. Anything's possible.
All right. Take care, Brian.